A peer is a person of the same age and ability as another specified person, and that is of equal standing with that person. Peer pressure happens when people within your peer group pressure you into doing something. Peer pressure can have either a positive or a negative effect depending on what you are pressured into doing. Peer pressure is tied to the social learning theory, which says that people learn through watching others. If someone receives a reward for a behavior they do, a person watching will want to emulate this behavior to get the reward. It works the other way too, in that if a person sees someone suffering because of behavior, they will not replicate it. Peers can pressure you through a number of ways. Direct peer pressure is when peers tell you directly how to do something by telling you how to do it. They can use insults to make the person feel bad for not doing something, threaten them with rejection if they don't, and provide reasons as to why they should do it, among other ways. Another form of peer pressure is indirect peer pressure. Indirect peer pressure is when you see or hear what other people in your peer group are doing and imitating it. The third type of peer pressure is individual peer pressure, which is caused by what you believe other people in your peer group are doing, not necessarily what they actually do. Children are the most vulnerable to peer pressure during early adolescence. The new surroundings, new faces, change in stature from the oldest in the school to the youngest, etc., can make them self-aware of everything they do, such as what they wear, what they eat, how they walk, how they interact with people, and others. This self-awareness makes them vulnerable to peer pressure. Peer pressure can cause people to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do. Some examples are doing drugs, drinking alcohol, smoking, and other harmful things. An NIDA-funded study showed that when teens are around friends, they are more likely to do risky things in order to impress them, in this case running a yellow light. The reason teens are more likely to do risky things is that their sense of risk and reward is skewed. Adults are more likely to see the risks and say that it's too risky, but teens often avoid them and focus solely on rewards. The peers involved in the experiment also didn't say anything to make them run the light, so their presence alone makes teens do risky things. Peer pressure isn't always negative. It can pressure you into not doing harmful things like smoking, can make you develop new skills or make you more interested in an activity such as reading books, doing extracurricular activities, make you more social, and in general have a positive effect on you. People can give into peer pressure because of several reasons, such as being afraid of being rejected by others, wanting to be liked and to not lose friends, wanting to appear grown up, not wanting to be made fun of, not wanting to hurt someone's feelings, not being sure of what they really want, and not knowing how to get out of the situation. Social acceptance is a major factor in peer pressure. People prefer to be accepted than rejected as part of our nature, and teens do as well. This desire for acceptance is something that allows teens to give in to peer pressure easily. Being lonely does as well. Teens are often in new places, so they want to make friends, which can make them give in to pressure. Peer pressure is a big factor in teen drug use because teens see their friends feel good because they take drugs. 55% of teens who were surveyed about why they started using drugs said that it was because of pressure from their peers. Drug dealers often approach teens and try to make themselves look like their friends in order to convince them. Pressure is also a factor in alcohol use. According to the National Institute of Drug Abuse's Monitoring the Future study, alcohol is more readily accepted among teens than drugs are. Another study by the NIAAA showed that evidence suggests that the most reliable predictor of a youth's drinking behavior is the drinking behavior of his or her friends. A big part of peer pressure's influence on drug and alcohol abuse is groups. A group that is brought together because of drugs can provide physical and mental assistance to their peers. Physically, they can give them things that help them do drugs, and mentally, they can help them by accepting them when other groups would not, and give them needed social functions. Group-mindedness can make it hard for people within the group to stop doing drugs. If they do, they probably would not be able to be a part of the group anymore. But if they do remain, then if they stop doing drugs, they'll be more likely to go through a relapse. In order to quit, they will have to leave the group, which is hard to do. On the other hand, peers can do the opposite and actually help you quit substance abuse. They can encourage you to make that change by increasing your self-efficacy, the feeling that you can achieve something. As well, like the negative group can assist you with drugs, a group of peers can assist you by providing you the social functions that you got from other drug users, but are here to help you quit. In order to avoid peer pressure, teens can be friends with people who like similar things and try not to place judgments on other people's choices. If you don't judge other people's choices, they'll be more likely to respect yours. As well, you should stand up for yourself and others when being pressured, so that you can help them or yourself not give in. There are other important things you should do to avoid being pressured. Having self-confidence, talking to a trusted adult about it, and not making excuses are important in dealing with and avoiding peer pressure. You should also try to avoid pressuring your friends whenever possible to avoid propagating it. When peer pressure happens to you, the most important thing you can do is say no. This can be made easier if you hang out with people who do the same thing. It's also easier to say no if you have high self-esteem, so try to build that. You should also try to get out of the situation if it occurs, though avoiding it before it occurs is the best thing you can do. Parents should also try to help their children with peer pressure. An important thing to do here is to encourage open and honest communication. If their children don't feel comfortable talking to them, they'll be more vulnerable to peer pressure. They should also teach them to be assertive and resist pressure. Parents should also get to know their children's friends and their friends' parents. If they have concerns about what their children's friends are influencing them to do, they can voice their concerns to their parents. It's also helpful to talk to their principals and counselors and other people with authority.